You're watching the Library Roadshow, a production of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. We just saw some of the events coming up at your library, and with so many free events for you to choose from, our monthly newsletter, The Source, can't even begin to list them all. So go to the library's website, www.ebrpl.com, and browse the online calendar of events. It's searchable by date, location, and interest. And remember, free, free, free. And now it's time for Page Turners.
This month on Page Turners, the spotlight shines on Stieg Larsson's internationally best-selling novel, The Millennium Series.
In The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, disgraced journalist Mikael Blomkvist is hired by Henrik Wenger to investigate the disappearance of Wenger's great niece, Harriet. Henrik suspects that someone in his family murdered Harriet over 40 years ago. During his investigation, Blomkvist crosses paths with Lisbeth Salander, a young computer hacker, an asocial punk, and most importantly, a young woman driven by her vindictiveness. Together, they form an unlikely couple as they dive deeper into the violent past of the secretive Wenger family.
Frankly, Kayla, I had a hard time getting into the book the first time, and I struggled through the first 100 pages. But by page 101, the book ignited from a spark into a fire, which grew into a roaring inferno before dying down a little towards the end. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it, as actually, I'm not really a fan of crime fiction. Larsson ensured that he tied up the loose ends so you can read Dragon Tattoo as a standalone book and still enjoy it. Personally, I preferred The Girl Who Played with Fire because of the faster pacing, suspense, and action. In this book, Lisbeth Salander is wanted for a triple murder. All of the victims are connected through a trafficking expose that's going to be published by Mikael Blomkvist magazine Millennium. Lisbeth vanishes to avoid capture with Mikael, desperately trying to clear her name. During this process, he discovers Elizabeth's past, a terrible story of abuse and traumatizing experiences growing up in the Swedish care system. When he finally finds her, it's only to discover that Lisbeth is far more entangled in this initial investigation into the sex industry than he could ever imagine.
The second book in the Millennium Trilogy is quite simply fantastic. The minute I cracked open the spine, I couldn't put it down for long. Kicking the story off with Salander's new life reeled me in totally, as any scene with her in it is a genuine reading pleasure. I'm not going to include any spoilers, but reading The Girl Who Played with Fire is like watching a non-stop thriller action movie that is playing out in your mind.
And that's how the page turns.
Well, thanks to Mika and Kayla. I geek murder mysteries, so this is just the kind of series I like to read, and I'll be sure to read all three before I see the movie. And now I want to give a heads up on our spring One Book, One Community title. We'll be reading Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens this spring. It's a classic tale of adventure, lost identity, greed, and danger. Hundreds of copies are being added to the library's collections even as we speak, and area schools have already received their copies. We've posted a special Dickens info guide on the library's website, and we've scheduled a great range of programs for young and old beginning in February. So get twisted at the library this spring. And now for today's contest. We'll draw from the names of everyone who posts to the Facebook page and shares their favorite Dickens character and why. And while you're there, enjoy. You'll figure out really fast that we're not your grandfather's library anymore. And as for what's coming up on the Library Roadshow next month, I'll kick off the Spring One Book, One Community series with What the Dickens.
Next month, we'll profile another beautiful library branch.
And I'll be making sure that all the new Oliver Twist books are ready and on the shelf.
I'll be getting ready to hit the road for the Spring Geek Week tour.
Next month, I'll tell you how you can search the deep and informative online database Newsbank.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Library Roadshow. And remember, your East Baton Rouge Library is open 7 days a week at each and every one of 13 branches, plus 24/7 on the web. Check us out at www.ebrpl.com.